would like to say that Mrs. Anderson is excused from this meeting. She had a family emergency. So with that, Dr. Miller, since you seem to be wearing the proper attire, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you so much. Adoption of the agenda. Do I have any motions, amendments?
A motion to approve the agenda as is.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Call to the public. I haven't been able to read this for a very long time, so I'm excited. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38431, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for a future agenda. The board requests that all comments be limited to 3 minutes or less, and that the public refrain from the use of speech or language that is offensive or inappropriate pursuant to Board Policy KFA. And I have several speaker cards, so I'll call up the first two, so you, on deck. So Chad Whittle, you're first, and on deck, Karen Honeycutt.
Good evening, Dr. Chestnut and Governing Board.
I need you to lift up the handheld mic and
Okay.
hold it really close so everybody in TV land can hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Chestnut and Governing Board. My name is Chad Whittle. I live at 44570 West Granite Drive. I come in front of you tonight to express deep concern for remarks that were made during the last board meeting. Over the last 2 years, I've been fortunate to participate in numerous committees our school district provides, specifically the Budget Committee and the Meet and Confer Committee. Last school board meeting, an opinion was voiced to place a 3% salary increase to all certified and administration employees while only placing a 2% salary increase to all classified employees. I want it to be known it was never the direction or intention of the Budget Committee or the Meet and Confer Committee to place only partial COLA to only a portion of the employees. It was that all employees would receive an equal percentage. I have discussed with other employees, some certified and some classified, about this opinion and have agreed this opinion will not help unify employees, rather it will divide our unified school district. I want to leave you with the following image, the metaphor of a three-legged wooden stool. The stool will be a solid piece of furniture if all three legs are supported by one another. Now imagine each leg representing classified employees, certified employees, and administration employees. If one leg of that chair, the system will fail. If you remove one leg of that chair, the system will fail. I hope that you recognize we need to continue making positive progress as a district and show the employees that no matter who you are in the district, from the groundskeeper and custodians all the way to the superintendent, you are valued and appreciated, and no one leg is more important than the other. Thank you for your time and support.
Thank you. Up next, Karen Honeycutt. On deck, Pamela Brown.
Good evening, President Cottray, members of the board, and Dr. Chestnut. My name is Karen Honeycutt, and I live at 1101 East Brenda Drive in Casa Grande, Arizona. I'm a current employee of Maricopa Unified School District, and I am an MUSD alumni. My most precious memories of this town are of this town and specifically of this school district. I remember not only my teachers, but I also remember my bus driver, Jeff Price, the school nurse, Marie Drake, the lunch line ticket lady who eventually became a board member, Thelma Foreman, the lunchroom staff, Mrs. Cooper, and later Reva Brewer. I remember my principals, Mr. Richards and Mr. Meekum. I remember my superintendent, Rose Tansett. I remember the custodian, Mrs. Contrail. All of these people had an impact on my life and the lives of the student body and parents of that time. These individuals were people we could trust and depend on because they cared and were part of our school environment, equally important to us and respected by us. I come tonight to support the individuals who today perform these duties and other duties of our district. I come to support those who are outside the classroom, who bring our students to school safely, who take care of the needs of the students and the parents in the school front side offices, who are in the classrooms to support our teachers but do not hold that ADE teaching certificate. For those who provide the meals, a clean environment, for those who provide a safe environment, a facility that is comfortable and in good repair, the nursing staff, our IT staff, the staff that takes care of our students' needs in our sports, clubs, and other extracurricular activities. And now to address the area that I'm most knowledgeable of, the people who make sure we get a paycheck, that our benefits are in order, and that our bills are paid. The individuals that see to it that we hire appropriately for our district, that we address the purchases of our district properly. For those who shoulder the financial responsibility for the district, make sure we are in compliance and transparent with regard to our fiscal duties. To the administrative assistants who keep each district department running and balance all the demands with grace and guts. I come from a family who had a teacher that contributed to Maricopa Unified School District for almost 30 years. I know her job was not easy. I have respect for the profession, and I am not here to cast any negative light on teachers. As a native Arizonan, I am ashamed to see the reports that list us at the bottom of funding nationwide. I had a parent who served on the MUSD governing board, a parent who faced difficult decisions just as you do. I know the job you do is not easy, and there is no pay. Your pay comes from knowing in your heart that you made the best decision you could for the school as a whole. It is my hope that you will consider the well-being of all Maricopa Unified School District employees and think of us collectively rather than as a segregated group. We want to attract students to our schools, but we can only do so if it's done in a team effort. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Pamela Brown, and on deck, Becky Teller.
My name is Pamela Brown, and I reside at 40814 West Bravo Drive, and I am also in the business department. I'm the payroll coordinator, and I'm a proud classified staff of Maricopa Unified School District. The purpose for me to address you tonight is my concern over the discussion of the cost of living increases and the discussion of giving 3% to certified versus 2% to classified. A cost of living adjustment is an adjustment made to counteract the effects of inflation. Inflation equally hits all classes of employee, whether they're custodians or superintendents. I believe there are other ways to handle this so that you're not creating a division of employees and the perception that one group is more important and valued than another group. Our certified staff already have numerous opportunities available to them to earn extra pay. They get overloads, coaching stipends, 301 pay, summer school, assisting with curriculum planning, not to mention the recently passed 1.06% increase they're already going to get for anyone that taught in the state of Arizona for the 16-17 school year. The classified staff have little to no opportunities to earn extra pay, and they can only count on this once a year cost of living adjustment. It should be equal. For most classified staff, there is no certification with the Arizona Department of Education, but many of us have certifications or degrees in our fields. Teachers specialize in teaching, and classified staff specialize in each of our own fields so that we can come together and create an excellent environment for the students in our district. In my opinion, making the decision to give the classified staff a lesser cost of living than the certified would be a mistake, and it sends the message to classified staff that we aren't valued. The saying, it takes a village to raise a child, I could go on and on. We have many, many classified positions, and I appreciate them all from the time that I worked at the school to my time here at the district office. But the point is that we are all important, and we all play a part in having a successful school district. So I urge you to please don't create this divide in the classes of employees. We have to all work together to achieve excellence.
Thank you. Becky, you're next, and Terry Panicello.
My name is Becky Teller. I live at 49784 West Gale Lane here in Maricopa. First, I would like to thank the board members for all your support with our classified and certified staff as well. I'd like to bring to your attention some concerns regarding this discussion that took place at the last board meeting regarding the cost of living adjustment for all staff. Since when does the cost of living differ between job titles, categories, or status? My 3 kids had a great education and lots of opportunities here at MUSD, and I can appreciate teachers just as much as anyone, if not more, believe me. But I also know that without the custodians and numerous other behind-the-scenes people, the groundskeepers keeping the bathrooms, facilities, locker rooms, cafeterias, and gyms, everything maintained and cleaned, that my kids were able to get that education and all those great opportunities to excel in their sports that they have and to go on to finish college, have degrees, and be successful, thanks to the teachers and the staff, all staff at MUSD. Besides getting the 1.0% increase, certified staff has opportunity to earn signing bonuses, the 301 money, coaching stipends, various other stipends, and many other ways to earn extra pay throughout the year. Classified staff does not have that opportunity to earn that extra pay. And then just because someone's not certified at ADE does not mean that they're not educated or certified in their particular area. ADE does not provide certificates or various positions for various positions, even when the employee has college degrees and they are certified in their position. ADE does not offer certificates for that, and that's unfair. Our district cannot afford to be divided and this not be a good example for our community. We are Maricopa Unified School District, not Maricopa School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry, you're next, and last is Priscilla.
Good evening, President Cotray, members of the Governing Board, and Dr. Chestnut. My name is Terry Ponticello, and I live at 36118 West Catalan Street here in Maricopa. Tonight, I respectfully ask that you please consider keeping the cost of living adjustment at 3% across the board as recommended by the Budget Committee. The rise in the cost of living affects every employee of this district, regardless of which position they hold. You've told us time and time again how equally important each and every one of us are, and I wholeheartedly agree. Who greets our parents, enrolls their child in school, and makes sure that they have everything they need to start their first day? The front office staff. Unfortunately, for some of our students, the only decent meal that they will receive during the course of the week is at school. Our cafeteria staff is responsible for feeding those children. Our maintenance department ensures that our students have a clean, safe, climate-controlled classroom to do their best learning in. They repair broken chairs, desks, shelving, and lighting fixtures to keep the environment safe for our students and teachers. Our HVAC folks repair broken air conditioning units upon our rooftops during adverse weather conditions on a daily basis, especially now. If a child should fall and skin their knee on the playground or develop a dangerous fever, who provides that care and comfort to that child? Our health office. The business office ensures that every paid staff member of MUSD receives their paycheck consistently, processes curriculum and related supply order requests, balances the budget, works with auditors to ensure compliance measures are in place, and pays those utility bills so that our students can have the best chance of success while inside their classroom. The internet, as we all know, is a crucial part of everyday existence. Our IT staff oversees the servers, repairs broken computers, and safeguards against potentially destructive viruses every single day. Who takes care of the hiring and document processing for all of these great teachers we have? The Human Resources Department. Our security staff walks the buildings at night and during the weekend so students may go to school in safety the next day. I believe that every employee of this district impacts our students' day-to-day life at school. We provide positive examples for our students to follow and model good citizenship regardless of what certified degree we may or may not have. Our common goal is to become an A school district. We've worked very hard. I'm concerned, though, about never reaching that goal due to a potential divide between classified and certified staff. And most importantly, what message then are we sending to these children that we love so much and care for? That said, I respectfully ask that you please consider an equal cost of living adjustment for all employees of the district. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker, Priscilla Benke.
Good evening. My name is Priscilla Banky, and I live at 22363 North Braden Drive. Government is cruel. They changed my street name. Here in Maricopa. I'm here to represent CASA tonight, and just to say that at CASA we develop confident, connected, and successful youth, and we provide youth programs through mentoring, leadership, and education. CASA has partnered with MUSD longer than I've worked here, and the results have been great for the community. And we're thrilled to expand our services offered at the high school through the health and wellness program that we got to partner with you on. I wanted to share a little bit about our mentoring program. This is currently funded through the Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family and a partnership with Experience Matters and Intel. We're in 5 schools this year, and we know that all too often educators need support for their at-risk youth. The problem is that individual attention that those youth need, it's next to impossible to provide, and it can make the educators feel helpless. We believe that the problems these students face is relational in origin, and the solution will be relational. And schools don't always have the time and resources to provide the individual attention craved by many of these students. So that's where we come in. We found the funding, we found and trained the staff, we partnered. CASA pairs identified students with on-site adult mentors who will meet the need of the student meet with the student once a week throughout the school year. There are after-school programs and school intercession. We just did a group today with about 5 kiddos showed up to meet with their mentors. These groups give them more time to spend together, and it's consistent. This time, a small, simple act of providing caring, consistent, and competent adults has had a profound effect. As of third quarter data, fourth quarter is out in July, I'm working on it, but this was third quarter, 18% of the students involved, we had 147, decreased their behavior infractions in the office. 39% improved their classroom behaviors, 48% improved their attendance, and 52% improved their GPA. Our prevention efforts could not be done without our partnership with you guys here at MUSD, and on behalf of CASA's board and staff, I want to thank you.
Thank you. I know your program's been around a very long time, and very positive effect in our community and our students, so thank you. Okay, superintendent's report. Dr. Chestnut.
Thank you, President Coutret, members of the governing board. A few exciting things to report on tonight. Following up on what Priscilla just said, we have recently been awarded a $150,000 grant for Maricopa High School for the upcoming school year in partnership with CASA, and it is called a Health and Wellness Grant. And it will provide 2 full-time staff members to work with students on issues related to drug alcohol prevention, and we are very excited about having those services available at the high school. It's through the Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family, and it is on the consent agenda tonight, the MOU that we need to have in place to move that program forward. But we're very excited to work with Priscilla and CASA. As you know, they've done a great job for many years, and we've had a great partnership. Priscilla really actually took the lead on writing the grant, and we helped provide information. But I appreciated her ability to do that and willingness to do it on a short time frame. And grant writing is not very easy, but she did a great job, and that's why the grant was funded. So we want to continue this partnership and looking forward to it, and looking forward to bringing you more reports throughout the year on progress. Speaking of progress, as of 2 days ago at Ram Academy, we have lots of progress. We currently have actually 146 students being registered and enrolled. That includes 55 fifth-year seniors, students who did not graduate on time, 55 current seniors, and 36 juniors. And these students are behind from 3 to 5 credits on average. And my guess is we won't end up with this many students on the first. We typically have a lot of our fifth-year seniors who say they plan to come back to us, and then their plans change over the course of the summer. But it looks like enrollment is going to be good. We're anticipating probably somewhere around 115, 125, somewhere in there, and that was pretty much our target. All the positions have been filled. There was a nice article in Maricopa this afternoon describing the program, and we are getting ready. So plan to be bringing you more good news about this program as the year goes on, and it was all made possible, of course, by override funds that provided those funding for those additional staff positions. Today, we took a facility tour of Maricopa High School with Maintenance Department Coordinator Gordon Ponticello, who was here just a moment ago and just left. Gary and I had a great walkthrough, and I went into places that I had never been at Maricopa High School in 5 years, so that was fun and interesting. And of course, there's always a lot of stuff going on at the high school, even in the middle of the summer. And on the right-hand side, you can see the wrestling club was in the wrestling room, getting ready for summer tournaments and that kind of thing. Coach Eric Fierro is the head varsity coach. He's also our shop teacher, does a great job with the wrestling program, and it's really a year-round thing, like many of our coaches who are working through the summer on summer programs. On the left-hand side, you can see the restroom remodel going full tilt there in the CTE building. That'll be the home of the new Ram Academy. 3 classrooms there, and then the 2 portable classrooms will be adjacent to that building. The portable work has not started yet. We're working with the city on permits and permissions, and once that is taken care of, then we will be moving forward. But our plan is to have everything in place by the first day of school. So they had about 5 guys working on this restroom project today, and it's looking really good. So plan to bring you some pictures of the finished product in the near future. This is the big news of the night. I'm very proud to announce that 50 of our 50 override positions are filled, which is pretty remarkable and very exciting. A lot of great work done by Tom Beckett, who led the charge, but he will be the first to say that it was a team effort, and it really was. His office staff does a super job of following up, and the principals really worked hard to do the interviews, to scan the applicants, to set everything up and look for good people. Special ed is always a big challenge, and if you look closely at that list, you will only see 1 special ed position that is open. That's why Maria Sapelli is waving her arms in the back there and clapping. Very impressive work, really. And so you can also see that there's a lot of nuns up there, which is the goal. We have 3 schools that do have openings, and it is a little bit like whack-a-mole. I mean, Santa Cruz, I think, was a nun at the last meeting, and then somebody resigned. So we are still way ahead of where we were a year ago. 1 year ago, we had 25 or 27 openings at this time last year, including 6 special ed openings. So it really paid to get out there early. In January, we really hit it hard beginning in January, and it has really paid off. So I want to thank Tom, HR staff, the principals for just doing a super job. And I know that there's several other interviews that are going on this week, and there's a couple more up there that might be off the list by as early as tomorrow. So that's really been a great project. So anyway, thanks to everybody, and it's really exciting to be able to announce that all 50 of those override positions are filled, because there was some question as whether that was even going to be possible. And we've done really well. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Chestnut. Governing board member reports. Dr. Miller.
I would like to thank Mr. Beckett and your team, because I know in the beginning they said 50 would almost be impossible, but look at this, school hasn't even started and we got them filled. So I understand, I believe maybe the Santa Cruz position might be already an offer given. So that's really great. As Steve mentioned, that today I did do a maintenance tour of the high school, and it ceases to amaze me how big the campus is and what all is, kind of behind the scenes that you don't really see on a day-to-day basis. So I would definitely encourage everybody, if you can, to do a maintenance tour. I believe in a couple weeks we'll look at Maricopa Wells, and so you're definitely invited. And so there's a lot of, I was just really amazed about Mr. Gordon Ponticello and the work that they do. I mean, especially in the summer, you can imagine, just residentially, how much work we do on our AC and the coils and changing filters. So you can imagine all the filters across the whole district just for the air conditioning that needs to be changed, and a lot of the work and the maintenance and operations that goes into keeping a district good and the buildings maintained well. And from my view, I think that our district does really good job of maintaining our buildings, and especially in times of shortfalls in our M&O funds and what's going, across the state. So definitely a good job to the executive team and staff and everybody that's keeping our campus good. So for now, it's summertime and everybody have a good 4th of July, travel well and drink a lot of water. Thank you.
Mrs. Nor?
Sure, just quickly, I want to echo Dr. Miller's comments to HR and district staff for all the work they've been doing over the summer to fill those positions. It's going to be a great school year, and so looking forward to that. And I got the opportunity to meet with the governor last week and do a bill signing, which was a great opportunity to talk about some things, both agriculture, which is my career, and then education-wise as well. We talked about 301 extension and how they're going to address that. So I'm looking forward to those discussions over the next legislative session. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Judd?
Other than congratulating Mr. Beckett and the staff, I have nothing to report, but I just want people to keep in mind, on top of filling the 50 positions, it's doing it in Arizona's climate that is losing teachers at record pace. So being able to do that in this climate is just an incredible professional accomplishment. So just, again, thank you to you and your staff.
I never did. I thought we should have gone for more and hired more people. But, community spoke, and it wouldn't have been possible for you to do what you did without the support of our community. So a big thank you does go out to everybody who came out and voted for that override. We have so many great things in place now. This is probably going to be the best start of the school year, I think, staffing-wise, that we've had in many, many years. And I appreciate everybody who worked very hard to do that. So thank you. All right, work study item. Oh, our favorite one. Draft budget. Dr. Chestnut.
The 6-month process is nearing the end.
Oh, it seems like yesterday.
We'll take a few months off, then it'll be time to start again. So, the discussion continues. As you know, we spent a lot of time on what we call draft budget option number 2. And the way that broke out is on the screen. I think you're pretty familiar with that. It's a 3% cost of living increase for all employees. I made some adjustments. We made some adjustments this week once we got some final numbers, and those are shown in red. The increase to the amount to increase TOSAs to APs at the middle school is only going to cost us $10,000. We had originally estimated that to be $20,000, so the undesignated reserve funds go up by $10,000. So that's the only change on option 2 that we've been looking at for over a month. So at our last board meeting, there was some discussion about some other options, as was mentioned earlier this evening, and so this is what those would look like, and I'm calling this option A, and this would be a pay increase of 2% for classified and 3% for certified. That would include administration. That would cost only $776,000, and then there would be additional funds that could be placed in the reserve as a result of that. We also talked about the possibility of spending some additional reserve funds, and that option actually is available on all 4 of these that we're looking at tonight. So that would need more discussion if the board wants to pursue that. Option B, similar, that would be a 2% for classified, a 3% for certified, and 0% for administration. That would be slightly less, would put more in reserve. And then option C would be 2% for classified, what we call ADE certified teachers. So that is for 301 purposes. There are some certified staff, counselors and others, that don't receive 301 money. It's a small group, nurses and others. But those could be broken off. And in this case, that would result in a lower price tag because they would not be included. It would only include ADE-defined certified teachers. And so that would be 3% for them and then 0% for administration. That's the lowest price tag and the largest amount that would go into reserve funds. So those are the 4 options that I think we've kind of talked about as of our last meeting, and want to bring those to your attention and be glad to answer any questions you might have about any of those.
Well, as I stated last meeting, I really think that the 3% should be across the board at this time. And I understand the other viewpoints of trying to attract teachers and retain teachers in this Arizona climate. I don't think that we're there yet. And because I don't think all of our classified staff pay is where it needs to be competitive with other districts. You know, we're making progress. We're making progress every year, but I don't think it's there yet for us to try to increase just the teachers. But I still would like us to continue to find other ways to have those other incentives, be it signing bonuses, be it wellness incentives for our teachers. Obviously, what we're doing is working, or Mr. Beckett would not have been able to hire 50 new teachers. So we're doing something right, and I think, and the show of the emails and the people that, you know, spoke tonight, we would send a really bad message if we didn't do it across the board. And I would never want to do that. Now, the one question I do have for you regarding that undesignated reserve for that, our first option with all the 3%, there was like 108,000, is if we use that, is it sustainable for years and years and years? I don't want to, like, you know, for me, you know, I have a personal, I would love to have that communication specialist, but I don't want to use that money for that if we can't sustain that position and reduce the reserves to a point that's not comfortable.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Roush spoke to that several times in recent weeks, and his opinion is we need to reserve approximately $100,000 to make sure it's sustainable. And I think he realized that, well, his point was you could spend $100,000 on a one-time expense, but that's one time, right? It wouldn't have to be sustainable. And then since our last meeting, he's decided that to pay for the last $100,000 of the bus purchase, should the board approve that tonight, he's going to use another fund just to make certain that M&O budget is sustainable.
Well, and I
That
think
was
in
my
terms of sustainability, really, this money is all depending on some of the, what do you want to call it, the growth, population growth. And so then that would be sustainable, correct, for if we gave the 3% and, you know, as long as we continue to have, you know, stable growth, then this would be sustainable, correct?
Right. This budget projection from the beginning was built on a 1% increase for general ed students and a 2% increase in special ed students. That's how we built the numbers from the beginning. So I think it's a reasonable estimate. It's about 150 kids roughly. And, you know, we might be a little more than that, and but we might be a little less too. And that's the reason he's saying we need $100,000 reserve.
Makes sense to me. And I agree with you, President Coutre. I think that we should send a good message and have it same base across the board versus different percentages. The only other option personally that I liked, which, you know, I had Dr. Chestnut sent a message, is possibly maybe a 2% across the board and use that 1% for bus drivers as an option. So I'm between those two, but I think regardless it should be across the board for the same for everybody, whether it's 2 or 3%.
Well, and I think Dr. Chestnut also has, and we've talked about it in the past, of starting to review all of our classified
Right.
salaries and starting to do that review to make sure that they are competitive and that they are where they should be. And I think, you know, before we start making decisions and start, you know, saying, okay, well, this type of employee is going to get this amount and this employee is going to get this amount, I think we need to let him do his research and bring back the data so that we can see
And
make
I
an
agree.
informed
And I agree.
decision.
My only concern is just with the bus drivers, being that we're training them and then they're leaving, and then the cost to the district of the employee turnover. And I don't know what those numbers look like in terms of, you know, kind of being more comparable.
It's
but-
similar to our paras.
But
Yeah.
Same thing happens to our paras. We train them,
right.
and then they go away. And, you know, it's them and the bus drivers are probably our highest turnover, and custodials. Those are our highest turnover. And we invest and we train them, and, you know, unfortunately, we are, you know, those are the three areas that I'm guessing that when Dr. Chestnut does his review and we get that data back, those are going to be the areas that we're going to have to do something about. Because unfortunately, it's not just one area. If it was, it'd be an easy fix.
Yes. Well, and the good thing too is if we did vote across the board, then the bus drivers and the custodians, they'll still get that difference.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
No, that was going to be my comment. I mean, always supported budget option 2 since they were presented. And I think that while I do think we need to look at some of the areas where we may not be competitive in the classified areas, I think giving all the employees 3% is a good gesture, and I think will get us down the road. And then, you know, I'm sure the bus drivers are now aware at some point they will that we are discussing this and that we are looking at that. And I think, you know, that'll help to keep them here until we find, you know, a viable solution to maintain them and not lose them to districts that are paying more. So, because especially with all the comments today, the fact that we've already discussed and put on the table a 3% increase, I'd have a really hard time going back to a 2%. I think that would also send, you know, a bad message to staff when they're, you know, probably already counting on 3% or
already
really
budgeted.
hoping for
We're
it.
hoping, yes.
So again, I've always supported budget option 2. I'm just confused by A, B, and C, because I didn't think our discussion 2
Yeah.
weeks ago was about taking them down a
Yes,
percent.
Yeah, Mrs. Anderson had asked for that. She wanted to see
Oh.
those various, the difference, yes.
Yeah,
She had
okay.
asked for that.
Wow.
Well,
I think-
regardless, I definitely see we're going in the right direction. So, I mean, these are talks that we're having now that weren't there before. And so I think
Right.
as we continue to improve our district, you know, improve our culture within our district, I think that we're seeing, you know, really great success and, you know, people that are maybe not making as much as another district, they're staying here because of, you know, that we have a really good environment here and that the teachers and certified staff like that.
And that's a good point, and that was going to be my second point. I think, while I think that we should always be looking at what we need to do to retain certified staff, I support budget option 2, giving everybody a 3% raise, but I think it's also important to note all the things we've done in this budget and through the override that are going to make the teachers' lives a lot better in the next school year. Obviously, the lower class sizes from the additional 50 teachers is a no-brainer. But we also reduced the class size targets pretty immensely.
Yes.
We were very aggressive on reducing those class size targets,
And
so.
cost.
Yeah, it'll cost us money, but it's certainty for them that they know they will be acknowledged if their size goes above a certain level. And then the sick leave bank on top of that, which is for everybody, right? Yeah, I mean, that's a huge employee benefit, you know, to know that you have that safety net should you become ill and have to be out for some months. So, I mean, I think we've, not just on pay raises, but in general in policies, taken a lot of steps forward. And, you know, I think that should get us through this year and hopefully the next, in terms of certified and classified staff. So I think it's a really great plan.
Well, this year, I think, was one of the lowest attrition years that we've had. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that our employees feel valued. It's the feelings. They have to, it's not just the money. It's not just the physical things. And that's the culture that we're building up again. And that's the culture that's going to get us and push us to that A district. We're bringing back loyalty. And we've had a lot of employees that stuck with us through some really nasty times. And, you know, and we're not, they're understanding, we understand that. We're showing our appreciation to that, so.
In connection with that, and taking a look at the TEL survey and seeing the things that were suffering the most were the things that we tried to address the most. So it's not always just tied to salary. The biggest disparity between MUSD teachers and Arizona at large were the class sizes, and we did what we could try to do to address that. An even bigger disparity, and I don't know if anyone caught that, was the access to curriculum. So obviously that was one of our biggest expenditures this year, was going through and doing the new curriculum purchase. So those two things were the two biggest diverging points between Arizona teachers and MUSD teachers we've attempted to address. So I'd be very curious to see how those results are going to look if they're able to do the survey again next year to see if we see improvement as far as that goes. Concerning the draft budget, option 2 has been as well my favorite from the beginning. But I think that the discussion, people need to consider the climate in Arizona, and that discussion that came up it's a real discussion, and it's not going to go away until the problem of Arizona losing its teachers reverses itself. Right now, we can do that because Mr. Beckett has done a great job being able to show us that. Right now, we don't have it's not a dire situation for MUSD. We can find these 50 teachers to be able to to fill the override position. But if we find ourselves continually in a position to where that trend continues and we can no longer do that, this is going to become a much more real discussion at that point. It's not a decision that we want to make, but it's going to become a supply and demand issue to where if we are lacking teachers in the state of Arizona, we're going to need to do everything we can do in order to be able to attract them. So that's that. I don't think we're at that point this year, but that may become an issue going forward as we have further budget discussions.
Yeah, and I support that thought. I mean, I think that we always have to keep all of our options open as we go forward to make sure that we maintain certified, teachers in positions so that we can maintain the class sizes that we promised with the override. I'm also hopeful that the new Arizona Teachers Academy or whatever that was part of this budget where the teachers can go to school, get their degree for free if they teach in Arizona will hopefully help. I mean, that's going to take 4 years for the, final implementation to get a teacher out of that, but that should, if we can make it through that, may be helpful, so.
All right, any other discussions? Dr. Chestnut, I think it's pretty much decided that option 2 is what we're going to go for.
I think so too.
Okay. Wow. Didn't take that long.
We've been talking about it for months.
Yeah. It didn't take that long, just since February. Okay. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. We still have a quorum, so do I have any motions?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Dr. Miller has left. All right, motion passes. And the hero of the night. Our first action item, Mr. Beckett, the HR schedule.
Thank you, President Trey. Members of the governing board, I just want to reiterate what has been alluded to in the past, that this has been a team effort. I get to, I guess, be the face of some of this success, but the success really has been the extraordinary work of our principals, their hiring teams, just the great efforts of my staff. I'm privileged to work with such good people, and it's been my honor to serve in that service today. You have the personnel schedule in front of you, a number of different things that are on there. If you have any questions, I can take them at this point in time.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Beckett? Any motions?
Motion to approve the personal schedule as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And while you're up there, next item, discussion and possible approval of the revisions for the stipend and extra duty pay schedule. I believe that is you.
It is.
Okay.
Thank you, President Coutray, members of the governing board, Dr. Chestnut. You have the stipend and extra duty schedule that had been approved on December 7th of last year. We have 2 additional stipends that we're asking to have you consider. The first one is an overload stipend. I believe both of those are highlighted on the sheet as well. An overload stipend for special education teachers. In the past, we have given a different amount of money for the overload for those specific teachers. We feel that this overload is more commensurate with what actually they lose during the day. They're actually losing a 30-minute lunch period because they have a responsibility to oversee their children in their classroom. And so we did some calculations, and we feel this placement of the stipend is more equitable to what they're actually doing for that work. In addition to that, we also have revised the substitute rate for the registered nurses. Last year, we did have a salary increase for all of our nursing staff, and the compensation plan was actually increased. Typically, whenever we do a substitute rate, we base the substitute rate on an hourly rate for the lowest level of whatever position that is. So for the registered nurse, that correction was not made last year. It was caught by our diligent Director of Health Services, Marilyn Wyatt, And so we are asking for the board's approval to raise that RN salary for a substitute. So those are the two changes, and I'll take your questions.
The only question I have, Mr. Beckett, regarding the overload stipends for the ESS teachers, how many teachers approximately are we looking at here?
That's a great question. Maybe Mrs. Sapelli could help us out. She's counting with fingers.
No pressure. Uh,
15.
About
But
15.
are all of those teachers looking, no, they're not looking for overload stipends. That was when you couldn't fill the positions before?
No.
Right. So how many teachers are we looking at would be?
15.
All 15 would be?
15, yes.
Well, there's more ESS than, there's more than 15 ESS
Right.
teachers, right?
Yes, correct.
These would just be
Oh,
the
okay.
life skills.
Gotcha, okay. Okay.
Right, so
Only,
it wouldn't
right.
be for all ESS teachers, it would be for the life skills, the self-contained, right, the self-contained
Okay,
classrooms.
okay.
Absolutely, yeah,
Okay,
definitely,
that makes sense.
right. Yeah, I think that's great
That-
that we're
that
doing
makes
that.
sense, yeah.
That's
That was a
great,
good question.
yeah. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right, but I thank you for bringing this up to allow for that for the teachers who don't get a lunch, because I think that is very important, that we acknowledge their really long, hard days with no breaks.
Very, very challenging role.
Yeah.
Dr. Miller, did you have any other questions?
No, could I make a motion?
Yes, you may.
All right, I would like to make a motion to approve the revisions to the stipend and extra duty schedule as
I have a
written.
motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question, Gary. Okay. Discussion and possible approval of the first reading of policy IKFB, the graduation exercises. And I believe the reason that this was coming back, Dr. Chestnut, is because we wanted the regulation.
Right, we talked about putting in the regulation language to the effect that the student is working on a plan to graduate, and so we don't ask the board to approve regulation language, but gave you a sample of what that would look like, and once the policy is approved, we'll update the regulation at that same time.
Any questions or discussion?
I have no questions.
Any motions?
Motion to approve?
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. This next one I asked to be put on. Discussion and possible approval of scheduling a date for the governing board to do the adventures rope course.
When it's not 100 degrees outside.
Oh,
Right.
where's your sense of adventure?
And I do apologize. I
What's a
know it
little
was
sweat?
Expressed to bring sure we bring our calendars.
You didn't bring your
and I
calendar?
did not bring my I did not bring my phone. I forgot. I was in such a hurry to get out the door. I forgot my calendar. But I'm sure I can be part of this team and we can work it out. But I agree, as long as it's not 100 degrees.
Well,
I
yeah.
gotta be honest, for
Yeah.
me, it's much better during the summer, and I'm cool with the heat.
That's because you're that military.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The rest of us
We'll
on
throw
this
some tear
tough
gas. We'll
issue.
throw some tear gas in there for
It's
you.
just gonna be difficult
a
for
little
me,
pre-
once school starts back up, it gets very difficult.
I know, I understand.
What, so your,
Unless it's a Saturday.
your schedule is going to be the one that is going to be the most difficult. So you tell us.
If you
Because I,
can
because
schedule it for a Saturday,
Oh,
I
then
can,
I mean, as long as we, schedule ahead enough in
Absolutely.
advance. I have no problem. I'd rather do a Saturday than 100 degrees.
I'm fine. I
Well-
just think it's kind of important that all of us be there to do this.
I agree.
And, and I know Mrs. Anderson has graciously volunteered
Lead us.
to do this with us and to lead us, since she's trained in this. Fair warning, she's a difficult trainer, man. I've worked out with Sergeant Barbie before, let me tell you.
Sergeant Byrne. I can, Saturday would be fine, like in the morning.
any
Mhm.
Saturday in
Yeah,
the morning is
morning.
good.
Okay, so you want to look September, or October?
Mr. Judd?
Either is good for me.
Pick a date.
September, I'll give you the month.
So I
You
can,
get the date.
okay, so in September, I know that the law conference is that week of the
8th?
sixth,
Is that
7th,
the-
and 8th.
yeah.
Yeah, it goes, yeah, and the legislative conference is on the 9th, so that wouldn't work, especially for Mrs. Anderson. So what about
15th? I'm sorry.
16th.
the 16th or the 23rd?
16th is good for me.
16th? All right. So we've got a tentative date there, September 16th. Now what time? What time y'all want to wake up?
I would prefer maybe 9.
I was going to say 9. I like that.
Okay. And it would kind of be nice if any of the cabinet would like to join us. They are so welcome to join us because we all work together as a team. And I'm
I
sure
can
the
see
media would love to come out and take pictures of us.
enthusiasm on Mr. Beckett's face now.
Oh, that is going to be.
Yeah.
But they'll be kind, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion on that date and time?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yay! Okay, the next one was another one that I requested. And I know this seems a little bit early, however, I want to make sure because we don't have 2 meetings every month going forward, so we need to figure out who wants to be the delegate and alternate for the delegate assembly that follows the law conference on September 9th. I unfortunately will not be able to be there this year. Dr. Chestnut and I are going to a different conference that same week down in Tucson. So, Mrs. Anderson can't because she's actually leading the legislative workshop with ASBA. So that leaves the 3 of you.
Well, I know Mr. Judd really enjoyed that legislative committee meeting, so I think that he should
I actually will take it.
Yeah.
be the delegate.
Okay, and then, so, delegate Josh, and what about the alternate?
And so my understanding of the alternate is you don't do anything unless the delegate can't be there.
I'll make sure not to come down with a cold the day before.
Right, and so I know you always like to have the alternate there, but I think we can trust Mr. Judd to let us know if he's not going to be there. And if he's not going to be
Well,
there,
we just
can
have to,
show up.
we have to have the
The name.
alternate delegate's name filed with ASBA.
Right, and I'm fine with that. And if,
Okay.
I mean, as alternate, you know, that's not a high likelihood that we're going to have to show up because Mr. Judd's very reliable. So if you want it, I'm happy to give it to you, or, I mean, I just think it's really a name, so it's up
Right,
to you.
right.
Let's do
Or
rock,
you
paper,
can go.
scissors.
If you want to be the alternate, you can actually get you in there too, and you can sit and watch.
On who was
Right,
gonna
now,
have to go,
the
right,
8th,
is
I
what
have
we-
somewhere to be
Oh,
on the 8th,
okay.
and then, so I won't be able to do that.
Okay,
Okay.
so
I'll be
Mrs.
the
Norr's
alternate
the
and
alternate.
name, yep.
All right, so I'll like to make a motion that Mr. Judd will be our delegate for the assembly and Mrs. Norr will be our alternate. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Good job, guys.
All right, and we're almost done. Our next 2 motions are for executive session. We can vote for them at the same time, but we do need to specify that they are 2 separate items on the agenda. So,
I'll make a motion to approve to adjourn the executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A and 3, and also approve to adjourn the executive session pursuant to ARS 15-843 to convene an executive session to consider and take action on a student disciplinary matter.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have motion second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are in executive session at 7:27.
So I can stop this.
Yes, you can. So our first one then will go